that diversity that we see in our communities and across our planet. Thank you, Dame Maria.
Fiona Bruce.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship and to participate in this debate called by my honourable friend for Cleethorpes. I commend him for his speech, and it's a particular pleasure to follow the honourable member for Plymouth, Sutton and Devonport, my co-officer on the RE All-Party Parliamentary Group. I've rarely listened to a speech by an opposition member when I've felt more in agreement. I think getting almost concerned about that, but I absolutely agree. RE should be taught more in schools. Why is it so important that the generation growing up today to be tomorrow's citizens and leaders should have a knowledge-based understanding of religion and religious beliefs? It's important that this is taught in schools because, as we've heard, it's often the only place where in today's increasingly secular society that will be heard by those young people. And understanding religion is critical, as we've heard, to understanding so much of what is happening in the world today. Modern Britain is a global-facing Britain. Often, so much more than in this country even, we see that hate speech is on the rise. It's absolutely critical, and I'll turn to the international perspective in a moment, but it is so critical that we give our young people an opportunity to understand the religious context and content of society today, that we help them to ensure that they have mutual respect and understanding of those of different faiths or beliefs. And it does work. RE in this way does work. A pupil from Manchester has movingly said how studying RE helped him to be a better friend to a classmate during local repercussions following the bombing at the Ariana Grande concert there. And we hear too in our schools of how often other faiths are now shared. Nursery children at a Catholic preschool I've heard of have enjoyed a series of lessons on Eid, Diwali, Hanukkah, Christmas and Chinese New Year. So absolutely vital that we continue to teach in our schools rigorously and content-based and knowledge-based religions. Understanding different religions is critical if our young people are to navigate the international scene that they are growing up and living in. And just to give, add to the percentage of how important religion is to so many people across the world today, which the Honourable Member for Cleethorpes mentioned, there is too the as I say, increasing disturbance of difference amongst religious groups, which is happening across the world. The research centre Pew assessed now that 83% of the world's population live in countries where there are high or very high restrictions of those living with religious beliefs there. Yet this issue is profoundly under-recognised and under-addressed compared with many other global concerns. Hate is sadly across the rise across the world. Right across the world today, people are losing their jobs, education, homes, livelihoods, families, freedom, access to justice, even life itself, simply on account of what they believe. People are being discriminated against, marginalised, beaten, threatened, tortured and killed, and often by their own authoritarian governments, the very governments with a duty to protect their freedom of religion or belief. I have the privilege of serving as the Prime Minister's Special Envoy for freedom of religion or belief. And I've served now for over a year and a half. It's absolutely distressing to see what has happened in that time, simply since I was appointed, in terms of the way that religious disputes across the world are escalating. Putin weaponising Orthodox Christianity in the war against Ukraine. We've seen the military coup in Myanmar exacerbating the persecution of religious minorities there, such as the Rohingya Muslims. We've seen the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan, with every religious group there, other than those willing to succumb to their ways, now oppressed and living in daily fear. In Russia, Jehovah's Witnesses are now being imprisoned as criminals simply for being pacifists and unwilling to serve in the army. We see now disturbances in Iran on a daily basis, and there the Baha'is can't own land, they're being restricted from going to university. Elsewhere, Ahmadiyya Muslims can't vote, and in Nigeria, we're seeing tens of thousands of Christians and moderate Muslims massacred by Islamic extremists. This is the world our young people are growing up in. And it's not just there, even in what one might call peaceful countries, religion is a key issue and motivating factor in people's lives. This week in the elections in Brazil, religious views were a key factor when people decided how to vote. They will also be a factor in the US midterms next week. So to deny our young people an understanding of different religions and of their importance in people's lives is to do a disservice to them as they grow up and mature. And that's why those wishing to water down the content of RE are doing them a disservice. We cannot have RE watered down so that it is some kind of opportunity to have a chat or discover oneself. How can young people discover and understand anything unless they are given information, knowledge-based academic teaching so that they can make informed decisions about their way in the world? They have plenty of opportunity in this country today to understand the secular environment that they live in, but very few opportunities to understand the importance of religion to so many others and hopefully in time to themselves. I would like just in closing to pay tribute to the report which has been provided by the Independent Schools Religious Studies Association on religion and worldviews. There's some excellent comments and content in there which I won't go into because I'm conscious other colleagues need to speak and have time. But this report does speak of how religion is more than a worldview. It's a way of life. It involves community, shared value, and critically, it contains a sense of the transcendent. How important it is for young people to be given an opportunity to understand this in the world today, when often so many of them are questioning and looking for answers.